everyone, welcome to my channel Pure Biology, and I am Electrocardiogram. It is a channel related to biological science. Different topics that are related to biological science I try to explain in my channel, and it is very new channel. Okay, I opened it in 2021 December, so it is very new channel, and I will try to continue this channel if you support me. I think you obviously support me because I want to help you in explaining of the different topics that are related to biological science. And if you like this channel properly, then you must share with your friends, because I think that will be also helpful for them. And obviously subscribe my channel to continue this channel. Okay. And also I am very thankful to all of you who already subscribed my channel. Okay. Today's topic is electrocardiogram. What is electrocardiogram? Actually, we know ECG. This is the short form of electrocardiogram. And this is ECG. ECG is what? ECG actually is a device, and it generally denotes or it calculates the electrical impulse that are already passing through the heart. And by calculating or by observing this type of graph, I think we observe. So after observing this type of graph, we can easily say that the heart, what is the condition of the heart. Okay, and after studying of this ECG or electrocardiogram, you obviously understand what is the relation between this curve or the graph and with the heart. Okay, and how we just studying by this graph, calculating this graph, how do we know that the situation or the condition of the heart. Okay, so let's start. First we just learn about the electrocardiogram, and then we learn about the graph. So what is this? First we know the body fluid that contains. The body fluid means actually the body fluids, different types of body fluids present in the body. One is blood, that is very important. Second one is the lymph, and the third one is the tissue fluid. Okay, you all know that. Okay, the blood and the lymph that actually passing all over through the body. Okay, for supplying the nutrition, carbon dioxide, oxygen, or actually the function of the lymph is like that, but also it helps to engulf the microorganisms or the foreign particles. Okay. So another important, that is the tissue fluid. It cannot pass generally throughout the body. It actually remain within a particular organ, or like that you take an example of the eye. The vitreous humor. Vitreous humor is very important tissue fluid. Okay, vitreous humor is one example of the tissue fluid, and you can see this thing actually where this liquid in the eye. Only in eye this vitreous humor is present. Another example, you can say that synovial fluid that present in the knee joint. Okay, so these are the tissue fluid. Next we first learn what is this, the body fluid that contains the ions. Okay, the body fluid contains the ion and that contain electric currents. Okay, and sorry for the disturbance in the outside, and I haven't any controlling capacity for just stopping the noise. Okay, so you can adjust this with the noise. I think you can heard. Okay, what will I say? The body fluid that contains the ions that conduct the electric currents. Okay, and as action potential potentials propagate through the heart, they generate electric currents that can be detected at the body surface. Okay. So what I am saying here, that any body fluid that contains ions, and due to presence of ions, the electric current is passing or conducting throughout our body. Clear? And this is possible for the propagation of the action potential. And what is this action potential? It is actually when I discuss about the nerve impulse or depolarization, here I explain very slow, very briefly, but I will explain in the propagation of the nerve impulse. In that situation, I will tell you what is the depolarization, repolarization, and the action potential. Today, I explain very briefly what is the action potential. That is the rapid sequence of changes in the voltage across a membrane determined by the relative ratio of ions. Okay. Suppose this is membrane, and you can see there is the positive ion and there is the negative ion. Okay. So what is the action potential? Action potential means it is the rapid sequence. Rapid sequence of changes in the voltage. When the voltage becomes changed, the membrane, this is membrane, when the transportation or interchanging of plus minus ion, this is possible, then the voltage is formed here. Okay. Generally, during the passing of the nerve impulse, what happened? The positive ion, they try to enter within the internal part of the membrane, and for the balancing of that, the positive ion, and the positive ion, then it enters within the internal portion of the membrane, and for balancing this, the negative ion try to comes out. Okay. So this is actually the depolarization. When the excitation of nerve impulse or nerve, any part of the nerve excitation is possible, then depolarization is occurred here. Okay. And when the excitation is over, okay, that means suppose the part of this part of the nerve that become excited, so this is called the depolarization part or depolarized part. Yeah. But the excitation, because impulse is not stable in a particular part or situation or any organ. Okay. So not any organ, any part of the nerve you can say. So it always try to pass. Okay. Try to pass throughout the nerve for taking the impulse from one part to another part. Yeah. So in that situation, what happened? This depolarized situation, that or the impulse when passing from this part to the another part, what happened? This part become to the stage of ground condition, and we can say this is now repolarized condition. Repolarized. Okay. Repolarized condition. So what is the action potential? This sudden change of depolarized or repolarized condition, or the interchanging of positive and negative ion. This is the sudden change, and due to this sudden changes, the voltage of the membrane that will also be changed. Okay, and this changing create action potential. Okay, or this changing create a situation or condition. This is called the action potential. Clear? So what I said, that the action potential will propagate, okay, through the heart, they generate the electric currents. In case of heart, it is different. Well, not different, but this is possible in the nerve, and this is explained in the heart situation. Okay, so we have to say the propagation of the action potential in the heart area. So action potentials propagate through the heart. They generate electric currents. Here, they generate electric currents, and these electric currents can be detected by the body surface. Okay, upper body surface, and this is actually we generally calculate or we generally detect by the machine or the instrument. This is called the electrocardiogram, or one kind of device or instrument, and the graph that is formed after calculating these electric currents is called the ECG or the electrocardiogram. This ECG is this ECG is a recording of action potential. So the ECG is recorded by a device or by an instrument. Okay, this is recording of action potential produced by heart muscle fiber during each heartbeat. Okay, when one heartbeat is occurring, then we calculate the action recording, or we can record the action potential produced by the heart muscle fiber. Clear? And provide indirect evidence of the blood flow to the heart muscle. Okay. So what I am saying here, the ECG is the recording. This is the recording of the action potential that produced by the heart muscle fiber during each heartbeat. For one heartbeat, the action potential that is produced by the heart muscle, this is recorded by the ECG or electrocardiogram. Okay, and this only not recording the action potential that is produced in the heart muscle for each heartbeat. It also give the evidence, indirect evidence of the blood flow. That means how much blood is flowing through the heart or the condition of the heart, we can easily understand by this ECG. So here two electrodes are there in ECG instrument, or the instrument by which we record the ECG. There are two electrodes, and this placed on the skin, generally on the heart area or the chest area, and connected by the wires to an instrument that detects the heart's electrical signals. Okay, so what is the function of the instrument? Instrument's function is only collect the signals that is produced by the action potential within the heart. So first you understand what happened here. What happened? Action potential passing through the heart muscle fiber during each beat, and we calculate or we record this passing of action potential in each beat. Clear? And after recording this action potential, we can make the graph by the instrument. And here the two electrodes, these are very important. We just put this two electrode on the chest area. Okay, and this is actually these two electrodes are connected with the instrument by wires. So what is the function of the instrument? It just calculate or it just record the signals that is produced by the propagation of the action potential. Clear? So and after getting the signals, it makes this type of graphs. Okay. After getting the signals from the heart area, the instrument generally makes this graph. Okay, we learn after that. Next, we what is the graph part? That is, you see, this is the voltage. Okay, MV, millivolt, and this area, this is the time per second. Here, and you can see here, this is the P, this is QRS. This is T, okay, and this one is the PR segment. This one is the PR segment, okay, and this from here to this part, it is called PR interval. Okay, this is called the PR interval, and this part is called the ST segment. This is the T, and from QRS complex to the T, up to end of the T, this is called the QRS interval. Okay, so this is the normal heart's condition, because here the graph we can see this is the totally developed heart's electrocardiogram or ECG. If there will be any changes in the heart area, so this curve is not like that proper. Okay, so I will explain that. And And now I explain you what is the P wave. This is P wave. What is this? This is actually small upward deflection on ECG. Okay, upward deflection on ECG, and it represents the atrial depolarization which spreads from the SA node. Now here, this is very important, SA node. I explained in my different video what is the SA node, what is the AV node, what is the Parkinson fiber, what is the fiber of His, okay, HIS. So I explained in another video, you just check out, okay. And you just follow the I buttons of every video, and I always try to link one video with the another for you can easily get the different types of videos from that link here. Because I don't give any link in the description box, you have to check the I buttons that is present in the upper side of the video. Next, what is the P wave? What is that? The small upward deflection of the ECG. First, we know all that heart has the 4 chambers. Okay, what are that? The 2 atrials and the 2 ventricles. Okay, and you all know the right auricles or the atrium and left atrium, then right ventricle and the left ventricle. Here. So, there are many valves that are interconnected with each other, and in case of right atrium and the right ventricle, there is the tricuspid valve, and in case of left atrium and the left ventricle, there is the bicuspid valve. Okay, so this is another topic. I just today explain this topic only. So, what is the P wave? So, P wave actually when the atrial chamber that become depolarized. Okay, so it creates one signal, and that is captured by the instrument. Okay, so this is the P wave. So how can we get this P wave? The depolarization method of atrial chamber, or the depolarized situation of the atrial chamber. This is the P, and this is actually spreads from the SA node throughout the atria, because SA node, SA node is that present the upper part of the atrium. Okay, SA node generally is situated the upper part of the atrium. So any depolarization when occur in the atrial area, this is transported by the SA node. Okay. Now this is actually 80 to 100 milliseconds in duration. This is what? 80 to 100 milliseconds in duration. This is the P wave. Okay. Next we explain about the QRS complex. Okay. Then we now we will learn about the QRS complex. You can see this is the QRS complex. Okay. This is the Q. This is R and this is S. Total we can say that QRS complex. Okay. This is the QRS complex, and the Q is the first negative downward deflection just after the P wave. Okay, just after the P wave, first downward or the negative deflection. This is the Q wave. R wave is the first upward but positive deflection after Q wave, and S is the first wave that is produced after R deflection, but it is the downward deflection or the negative deflection. And this QRS togetherly we can say the QRS complex. Clear? So it indicates the onset of the contraction of the ventricles. What is the P? P is the atrial depolarization or the depolarization of the atrium. But here the depolarization of the whose depolarization? Ventricular depolarization. P is the depolarization of the atrium or the atrial depolarization state, and QRS is the ventricular depolarization state. Okay, and as the action potential spreads the ventricle. So first we understand that action potential not remain in a place, it always passing through the area. So first it is produced atria from the SA node, and after that it is passing from the atrium to the ventricle. Okay? And the ventricle, in case of ventricle, when the action potential passed from the atrium to the ventricular part, the depolarization situation occurred in the ventricles, and as a result the QRS complex is formed. Okay, QRS complex is formed. Next, last one is the T wave. What is the T wave? It is here the depolarization is not proper. What occurring is here? That is the repolarization. Repolarization of the ventricles. Okay, all ventricles are starting to relax here, and while the T wave is smaller and wider than QRS complex, there is a short space, so I have drawn in such way, but you just understand that the T is obviously smaller and wider than the QRS complex, because the depolarization is faster, but the repolarization is occurring very slowly. Clear? So T wave is always wider and smaller than the QRS complex. So we just after seeing this graph, what is the P, what is QRS, and what is the T, we learned here now. Okay, and now we learn what happens if the heart situation is not a proper condition, or there is any difficulties that can grow within the heart area. How can we observe? By seeing the ECG. Okay, this is the normal ECG. Generally heart condition is normal, that means this type of ECG we can see here. The P, first one, this is the atrial depolarization. QRS, this is the ventricular depolarization, and the T, this is the repolarization when the ventricles start to relax. Here, and the T always wider than the QRS complex, and we obviously must have taken the first deflection, not crossing the first. The second one we cannot consider. We consider obviously the first deflection after one deflection. That means after P, the Q is the first deflection, and after Q, the R is the first deflection. Same way, we just have taken the first deflection after the previous wave. Okay, so this is the actual ECG or electrocardiogram. Now we will learn what differences we can see in the normal situation and the some different situation. Okay. Okay. Now we will see what happened during the abnormalities. Okay. In case of enlargement of atrium, the P wave, that is the P wave, that becomes larger. Okay, like that becomes larger. So this is occurring during the enlargement of the atrium. Next one, when the Q wave becomes enlarged in case of myocardial infarction. This is one kind of heart attack, and this is occurring actually, or this is caused, you can say, the lack of oxygen level. Okay, the lack of oxygen level in the heart muscle. Lack of oxygen level in the heart muscle, so damage of the heart muscle in that area, and as usually the heart attack is occurred. Okay, and this is called the myocardial infarction. Next one, the R wave, that becomes the enlarged when the ventricles become enlarged. Okay, the T wave, this becomes flatter. Flatter means more wider when the heart muscle with the insufficient oxygen. If the oxygen level is not sufficient for the heart muscle, in that situation the coronary artery disease is occurred, and T wave, you can see the T wave that becomes more wider or the flatter. And another thing, that is the T wave becomes elevated. When it becomes elevated, the condition is called the hyperkalemia. Okay, the hyperkalemia, this is the high blood K level. Okay, high blood K level. So these are the abnormalities. Okay, these are the abnormalities, and by which we can easily identify the normal ECG graph and the abnormal ECG graph, and what situation exactly occurring in the heart area. Clear? So this is the topic of the electrocardiogram. I think you can all understand about this electrocardiogram, and this is the one part of the physiology, and there are many questions arise in case of CSIR NET. Okay, and physiology, in physiology it is one chapter, or one not chapter, it is a topic of circulation. I think you can understand it properly from this explanation. Okay, thank you. Sorry to say that I just forgot 3 parts to explain. So just I tell you about that. One is the PR segment. You just check out the first graph that was drawn here in the previous part of the video. Okay, the PR segments and the ST segments and the QT interval and the PR interval. So what is the PR segment? It is actually it denotes or it represents the time taken by the AV node. Okay, time taken by the AV node to conduct the impulse. Yeah, this is the PR segment. And PR interval is containing P wave and the PR segment. Both are included and together we call PR interval. This PR interval shortens when the heart rate is high, and it increases when the heart rate is low. This is PR interval, and that becomes short. That becomes short in case of high heart rate, and it becomes so increased in case of low heart rate, and each consisting of P wave and the PR segment. Second one is the ST segment. It represents the time gap between the depolarization and the repolarization. The time between the depolarization and repolarization is measured by the ST segments. Okay, and it generally lies between the QRS and the T wave. Next one is the QT interval. And this one measure from the beginning of the QRS complex. You just see the graph, then you learn it. Okay. Otherwise you cannot understand, because I just rub here the graph. Okay. So you can see what is that, the QT interval that is measured from the beginning of the QRS complex to the end of the T wave. And it represents the time taken activation of the sorry for the disturbance. Okay, so this is QT interval that is measured from the beginning of the QRS complex to the T wave, and it represents the time taken the activation of the electrical activity in the ventricles and return to the resting state. Okay, ventricles and return. Sorry for the disturbance. You just listen just the last one, and then I explain you. So it represents the time taken the activation of the electrical activity in the ventricles and the return to the, that means the beginning of the ventricles activity and return to the resting phase is denoted by the QT interval. Okay, and this is measured from the beginning of the QRS complex to the end of the T wave. Okay, so this is the QT interval. I think now this is completed. Okay, thank you.